Hey guys, it's Daniel's son, and I'm standing on the engine bay of an Audi R8. So this is the powertrain of an Audi R8. The reason I removed it is because we needed to replace the valve seals, and I also wanted to do some general maintenance because the engine is outside of the car. Now, nothing could have prepared me for what I found, and spoiler alert, it was about to blow up. So in the previous video, I did mention that we're going to do a couple of mods. Now, these mods are meant to make the car a little bit more reliable and a little bit lighter. Now, the first mod is actually the exhaust. This thing was cut open, modified, and then put back together. I am not going to talk about what was done in there because I don't even know. I wasn't here for that, so I'm just gonna leave it there. It's supposed to sound better, so let's hope that it does. So the other mod that we're gonna be doing to this car is actually removing the all-wheel drive system. Now, Wizard requested this because it actually will remove the front diff, which will lighten the car, will kind of remove all these extra moving parts. So you're removing the drive shaft, the front diff, the front axle. Those are less things to go bad. Also, something weird about this car, on low speed turns, there's a little bit of resistance. It kind of puts stress on the clutch, so that's something else that we'll get rid of. So do I think it's a good idea? Sure, it's not the worst thing in the world. We can always put it back. But in this case, we're gonna remove it and see how the car behaves. So let's go ahead and get busy and start tearing this thing apart. I'm gonna start by removing the transmission. So off camera, I went ahead and I installed the engine leveler. Some of you guys commented and told me what it was because I totally forgot what it was called. But we already installed that. That should make it a lot easier to pull the transmission nice and straight and evenly so we don't have to fight it. But I still have to remove the nuts from the bell housing. So the transmission is finally out, and as you can see, we have two shafts. This is going to be the input shaft, and this is going to be the one for the all-wheel drive. So this is an output shaft that goes through the engine into the drive shaft for the front diff. Now, obviously, this will stay here. We're not going to remove this, even though it's part of the all-wheel drive. That'll stay in there. Too complicated to remove, so we're just gonna leave it alone. Now that this is out, we're gonna go ahead and remove the clutch, the flywheel, and that back cover so we can expose the timing components. Now, one of the things that we wanted to check when the engine was out was the clutch life. So we're gonna pull this off, inspect the clutch sticks. We're more than likely is gonna get a brand new one, but we definitely wanna see how the old one was doing because I think this car just had a clutch installed not too long ago. So we're gonna find out if that was true. Okay, here we go. Yeah, look at right here. So this are the rivets that hold the friction material to the steel, to the main body. Now, these clutches are attached together if I'm not mistaken, so I can't take it apart, but you can definitely see this first disc, how it has a wear mark right here in the middle, plus those rivets are about to touch the actual flywheel, and that basically tells me that this clutch doesn't have much life left, so we're definitely going to replace it. It's definitely gonna need a new one. I'm gonna remove these rear covers. Why? This is where the timing components are. Yes, they're on the back of the engine where the flywheel is. They usually are on the other side in the front where the crankshaft pulley is, but this one's a little bit different. They put it back here. Here you got the timing chain, you got your guides, your upper guide here, and then on these engines, for some reason, coolant runs through here, through this coolant bridge, through the center of these timing chains into the block. And yeah, that could be a leak. That could be a leak, and these don't look good at all. Oh no. Well, let's pull out the other side. Oh my goodness. So you can see it right here. So the seal has started to fail. They're just old. They're not even rubber anymore. It's plastic now. And here, check this out. So right here, I don't know if you can see that on camera that well, but you can see how it's starting to leak coolant into the timing chain area, which is also the crankcase area. So it's mixing coolant with oil. That is a problem. Now something else, look right here. That is a timing chain guide. It's broken. It's missing a piece. That could have popped out and then start causing issues. And if that one's bad, maybe the other ones are bad too. So this also needs a complete timing chain kit. So just add it to the list. Now I noticed something on the exhaust port, and I also read one of the comments that said, go ahead and pull the spark plugs. But if you look right here in the exhaust port, there's some white residue coming out of there. I don't know exactly what it is, but we're gonna go ahead and pull the spark plug like that one comment. I don't remember who left it, but thank you. So we can see if there's any weird stuff going on in there. But we also have to remove all the spark plugs because we need to set the engine at top dead center so we can lock the cams and start getting ready to remove the timing components. Okay, so look at that. It has some weird deposits on there. They look like they have been in there for a while. It's definitely getting new ones, but that doesn't look great. Doesn't look too bad either, but I don't really see anything. We might also borescope, or maybe we'll leave it until we remove the heads, because the heads have to come off. So we'll leave it until the heads come off for the reveal if there's anything weird in there. So I removed all the spark plugs, and they all have that white powdery residue on top of them. Now that could be caused by a few things. It could be fuel additives, it could be because it's running lean, but it could also be burning oil, and we know that this engine is burning oil, so more than likely that's our cause. Now obviously it's getting new spark plugs, and we're also going to be fixing the issue with the valve seals, so that should take care of this for the foreseeable future for this engine. There we go. So right here it's all the clutch residual, so that came from the clutch. It was sitting on the flywheel, and you can see how it's a fair bit. I'm gonna wipe that off. But then something else too, if you look right here, this is the pilot bearing, and that is about as bad as a pilot bearing can get. I didn't really hear it make any noise, but those, when it gets that bad, they make a lot of noise. So we're gonna have to replace that too. Now we are working towards removing the cylinder heads. So I haven't taken the timing components yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and remove the high pressure fuel pumps and some of the lines. I am gonna leave the rails in because they're not in the way for me to remove the cylinder heads. So that's one less thing that we need to worry about. So we're just gonna leave them in. Other than that, is just removing these lines, just kind of getting some of this extra stuff off it. Also the oil filter housing, so we can also remove that back cover and start removing those timing chains, timing components, so we can start pulling the cylinder heads. Let me try and not do that again. So these are the high pressure fuel pumps. So you can see there's a spring right here, and depending on where the engine is timing wise, there could be some tension on this from the cam lobe, because these run from one of the cam lobes on the camshaft. So whenever you're removing these, you want to, kind of alternate around the bolt so it kind of comes out straight and it doesn't get kinked, because sometimes it'll break that plunger that is part of the high pressure fuel pump assembly. It might leak from one of the holes. Let's see. Ooh, that looks pretty clean. It did get an oil change before all this, and from what I see, it does look pretty clean. Well, that's stuck in there. As I tear down this engine more and more, I've started to notice how Audi and Ferrari, kind of their differences and some similarities, but I've noticed how Ferrari is much simpler. The way that they do a few things. So an engine that I'm pretty familiar on the Ferrari side is the Ferrari 488. So I had to do a few engine outs on those cars, some reseals. So I got pretty familiar with that engine. It is very similar to the Audi in the sense that the timing components are in the back, much like this one. So I would have to remove the transmission in the car and then remove that rear cover to get to the timing components, because we would have to maybe remove the oil pan, which was attached to that cover, or we would have to remove the valve covers because they were leaking. And it was pretty similar to this, where the camshafts were attached to the cam cover. So if you remove the cam cover, the camshafts would come off as well. So they're similar in that way. Now, something that's a little bit different is like the fuel rails. The fuel rails on this car, they have some extra lines going. I don't really know exactly how they work or what they do. I would need to find out more. But on the Ferrari, it was much simpler. It seemed like it just went straight from the high pressure fuel pumps to the rails, if I'm not mistaken. And that was pretty much it. I think it did have a drain back, but again, I don't remember. Now this one, again, has more lines and stuff like that. It seems like everything in this car is a little bit more complicated, even with their timing chain setup. The Ferrari one was a little bit simpler, and I guess we'll see more whenever we remove this cover. But honestly, I feel like I'm working on a completely different engine. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't feel the same at all. The bolts, the way that they do things, it's a real big contrast. There we go. I think we are ready to take a look at this timing. Oh my goodness. What the heck is that? This is the part that I just run away. So we're gonna put this back in, you know, and pretend we never saw that. And yeah, see you in the next video. So now that we have the rear timing cover off, we're gonna go through and see what this whole convoluted mess is. So let's start right here at the bottom, this corner. This is the oil pump. Now, the oil pump, as you can see, the chain kind of runs through the crankshaft all the way up here to the water pump. So that's one chain. For some reason, it just looks like that. And honestly, this is like the weirdest timing system I've ever seen. It seems like overly engineered, but I'm not an engineer. So yes, this right here is the oil pump. Now over here, we have the power steering pump shaft. So it is run by this gear right here that probably is connected somehow. I don't see where, but it's probably behind this bracket. It's connected to another bracket run off this oil pump. The same with this upper gear right here that you might not be able to see very well. That one's the one that runs the shaft that goes to the air compressor. So we got all that right there. Like I said, this is the crankshaft right here. This right here is the water pump, like I mentioned. You got your tensioner, your individual chain for it. Now we have, it looks to be maybe the main timing chain. So it goes from the crankshaft around this big gear all the way at the top here to this other gear, and it just comes back to the crankshaft with its own tensioner. Now, when you look at these two big gears right here, basically what they do is these are like intermediate cogs that will connect this main timing chain to these camshaft timing chains. So from this gear, you can follow how it goes up into the camshafts, into these variators, and you follow it. It has its own tensioner, and the same over there. We're going to be replacing all of this, including the water pump. Now, we're not going to be replacing the oil pump because they usually don't go bad, and obviously we're not going as far as replacing the crankshaft. That's not going to happen. And I'll be honest, I don't even know where to start. Yeah, busy, it's getting cold, allergies, you know, but I should be able to get on top of this and get it done. Now, this week, I actually spent some time on it while I was on the clock and started tearing it apart, at least the timing system. Now, it looks like I have to remove the variators to be able to remove the chain, to be able to remove the head. So you got the two let me try that again. So I got the two variators, and I got the tensioner right here, and then the tensioner right here, and then the chain that actually goes up and over. Then I got a big chain that drives these two pulleys with the crankshaft. So same thing over here, has a little independent chain. Anyways, you kind of get the gist of it. Now, these are all of the timing components. It is insane how much stuff is involved in this timing system. It seems overcomplicated. Not an engineer, so I'm just gonna call it whatever, you know, it is what it is. So you got the variators, You got the tensioners for those, for that chain, for those variators. Then you have this other tensioner, which is for, I believe it's the main chain, and then this tensioner that is for the chain that drives the power steering, the AC, the water pump, and the oil pump. Drives all of that. And there's a chain for that, and a tensioner for that, and then these guides. And I want to show you that the guides had a decent amount of wear. You know, some of these guides have a little bit of bubbling in the plastic up here. It's kind of hard to see. Definitely due for a change. Maybe this car kind of lacks some oil changes. It might have caused that issue, but it is what it is. It's fine. And I think I remember mentioning that it had a coolant leak right here, and it's been dripping down here. You can kind of see it's a little dirty there from coolant and just dropping on top of those gears. But we're going to address all that. So we get to the fun part now, which is removing the heads. We're ready to pull them off. We're going to pull them off with the cams still attached, because luckily we have space. And once the cams are on where they need to be with the cam tool that holds them in place, plus I also have a crank tool that goes in the bottom, I can still access all the bolts. So we're going to remove the entire head. Now I do have a feeling that the engine might move around, so we're going to go slowly. And if it does move, we're going to strap it down so we don't drop this engine. Yep, there we go. That should be good. Let's see. Yep. Gotta strap it down. There we go. Oh, I got it. Okay, now we're ready. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Oh, head gasket. There we go. Dying. Okay, so check this out. I got one cylinder, one piston that's all the way up, and you can see kind of how much it sticks out. So that's pretty cool. They all look pretty good. No damage, which is, I didn't expect any damage, but it's all looking good. Now you got the cylinders. Those cylinders look pretty clean. I believe these might be the spray, you know how they spray the hardened coating on them. If I'm not mistaken, if these ever fail and you have like a scratch on the cylinder wall, the block is junk because that's sprayed on. Nobody really does that unless you take it to a place that, you know, will charge you a lot of money to respray those. But again, don't quote me at that. Don't quote me on that because I don't know. I still have to do a little bit more research on this engine. But with that said, let's do the other side. Okay. I think we're pretty much ready to go. Let's see. Yep. Come on, let go. Oh. Hopefully I can sneak it through here. Come on. Oh, whew, that was lucky. Okay. Try again. Oh, the gasket's coming with me. So the heads are off. I got them set up here in a couple of tables. We're going to focus on taking the cams out. Now, why would I prefer to do the cams now instead of when the head was still attached to the block? And it's because, you know, sometimes when you're messing with the cams, they can move back and forth. And I don't want a cam to open up a valve while a piston is all the way up, especially on that one that protrudes so much. So here, it's a lot safer. We can take the cams out. It doesn't matter if the valves stick out because there's nothing to hit. Now, also, as you can see, the head's on its side, and that's because the valves actually stick out. So I can't lay it flat because that'll obviously bend the valve. We don't want that. So we're going to go ahead and remove the cams. All the valves are going to close because there's no cams on there, and then we can lay it flat and keep working. For your disassembling valve train that you are planning to reuse, you definitely want to make sure that you take it off and you lay it all out correctly, so when you put it all back in, it goes exactly in the spot that you took it out from. Why? This has already been worn in to these cams, to these lifters and stuff like that. Now, if you're getting new ones, that's fine because you have to break them in anyways. But in this case, we are reusing and we want to put them back to where they are because these lobes on these lifters and on the camshafts are worn into that specific side. Nothing wears in exactly the same whenever you're breaking in an engine, and you don't want to put a lifter on a different spot because it could cause problems. It could cause uneven wear or even wipe out that cam lobe. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and continue. I'm gonna set up a table, organize everything, and get these heads ready for disassembling for the valves to replace those seals. Things that have been done behind the scenes. So Wizard went ahead and rebuilt the cylinder heads himself, and they look pretty much brand new. So check this out. So he cleaned them all up. He replaced all of the seals, and then he also cleaned up in the valve area as well. So that's all good to go. These are ready to be installed. All I gotta do is oil them up and put them back in. We are missing these seals. Unfortunately, we are gonna get them. We just had a little bit of a miscommunication, and valve cover seals got ordered twice. So these are coming next week, so that shouldn't slow us down too bad. But yeah, these heads are ready to be put back on. I've done a lot of cleaning. I've been doing it with a little bit of soapy water and a brush and just cleaning it off like that, so I don't have to strip the engine completely down, put it in a parts cleaner to get it perfect, okay? It doesn't need to be perfect, but it is gonna be clean. There's not gonna be any oil spots or anything like that, so we, you know, if it does leak in the future, we'll know exactly where it's coming from. But we got fresh new head gaskets on there. Everything is clean in there, all the bores, everything has been blown out and cleaned and oiled up. So this thing is ready to take 2 cylinder heads. Yes, so it'll look good. Okay, here we go. You got one, nice and slow. Come on, take your time. Okay, got 1 dowel, there we go. 2 dowels. Now it's time to do the driver's side. Let's see. Nice and careful. There we go. It's time to torque the cylinder head down, and yes, I do have the manual right here. I also have a piece of paper that came with the head gaskets that does match up with the manual, so we're pretty much good to go. I'm gonna use this just because it's a nice quick reference. I can put it up here, but the first step is actually to tighten them by hand, you know, just snug. We're not putting any torque whatsoever, so just making sure they're all kind of run down. That's the first step on the factory manual. It doesn't say it on this piece of paper. This is why I have both, just to be sure. So just gotta make sure. Okay, so the next step is 30 Newton meters in that pattern, which we have right here. And yes, it is correct. So I'm gonna put it right here. So number 1 is here. Oh, probably wanna turn on the torque wrench. Oop, not that one, this one. Now the second pass is at 60 Newton meters. We're gonna put this at 60, and we're gonna follow the same torque pattern. Okay, so we're just gonna put a little mark on top of the bolt. So let's see, just kind of, yeah, I could kind of see that. And one here, 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 and so on. Now the reason that we are tightening this bolt with an angle instead of a torque spec is because these are torque to yield bolts. They're designed that way because they stretch to a certain degree to be able to pull the head down evenly. At least that's what I remember. Now we're gonna go ahead and do that. We already have it set to 90 degree. We are going to, oop, you know what? I should probably start with the correct bolt. This is the part where you need to pay attention. Actually, let me let this sit for a minute. Whew, okay, come on. There we go. Number 1. Number 1's here. Okay. Make sure it's fully seated. And then just there we go. And right here, we have 90 degree on the torque wrench, and then we have 90 degree on the bolt. So you can see the mark is at the top. Now it's at 90 degrees. So that is the first pass at 90 degrees, and as you can see, all the marks are to the 90-degree position. So what we're going to do now is to mark it again at the 0-degree position, so it goes to the side, and then obviously our 90-degree mark right here will go to the 180. That way we know and we kept track that we torqued them correctly and in the correct sequence as well. So this cylinder head is finally completely and fully torqued. Now, as you can see, all of the marks are where they should be, and I know that they're all torqued and they were torqued in the correct sequence. So we are going to do the other side. I'm just going to do that off camera to save battery life and storage on the camera. It's going to be the same, but on that side. So yeah, let me do that. So the cylinder heads are finally torqued. Now off camera, I went ahead and I put the lifters in, and I also put the tensioners for the camshaft, sprocket, timing, all that stuff. Whenever we get the seals to install these intermediate plates that hold the camshaft in, we get those hopefully next week, early next week. So next weekend I can tackle those and get those installed. Off camera, I went ahead and I cleaned up this plate. It might need a little bit more. This stuff is a little bit hard to get out. I scrubbed it down and I put it on our parts washer with extremely hot water, but I might have to do it one more time. So, but let me see. Other than that, like I said, we need the stuff here so I can complete the timing and the cylinder heads and start putting the exhaust and stuff like that on the sides, which I could do now, but I'm gonna wait till the next video. I wanna close this one out today, just have something for you guys this week, and then resume working next weekend, start getting the engine more assembled, get the clutch in, which is coming soon, and get this transmission, have the engine complete so we can actually put it back in the car in the next video, hopefully. Now in that shop update video, you guys did amazing. That was crazy. I've never seen those numbers in the channel, so I am really, really happy with that, and I really appreciate it, guys, for you watching, liking the video, commenting. I read so many comments, I don't even remember how many they were. So yeah, some things happened after that. There were some talks here and there, so there might be an update. I don't know how soon, but there might be an update later on, so definitely keep an eye on that for that video. And yeah, I'm just gonna close out the video right here. I appreciate you guys watching. Go ahead, comment, like, whatever you guys want to do. Definitely let me know. Honestly, I don't know, I'm just shocked. That video was amazing, so I really appreciate it. So on that note, I'm gonna stop rambling, and I will catch you on the next video.